Good evening. It is Monday, April 15th. I'm glad to be back. We are 1 week after the big eclipse. Curious how the energy has been for everyone. I know I've been getting lots of calls, lots of requests. So that eclipse has been shaking things up. So thank you for joining me tonight. This is our Akashic Records After Dark. And it is, well, I already said Monday, April 15th. 2024. So I want to thank all of you for sending in your questions to my email. And for those of you that still want to get some questions in, I don't know if it'll get to tonight, but for next, well, I won't be here next week. It's my birthday coming up this weekend. So I'm going to be playing a little bit next week and we'll be out of town. But I'll be back April 29th. So you're welcome to get your questions in early, keep them in a little file, and we'll get to them at some point. Thank you for joining. If this is your first time watching, what I do is read the Akashic Prayer out loud, and then I just take a second to connect, and I invite a message in from the guides. And I call them the guides. They could be, ascended masters, the record keepers. I just refer to the guides. It keeps it easy. But I bring a message in from them, a general message for everyone. And then I will read questions that have been submitted and just see what answers come through. And what I love about this format, especially if you're new to it, you don't even have to send a question in. You're going to get some kind of answer that you needed or you didn't even know you needed to hear, just from someone else asking. And that's the way this energy works. Your guides will bring you to the material that you need to be brought to. And so with that, we will begin. Okay. Thank you for my happy early birthday. Okay. And I always recommend when I read the prayer, and I do this in a one-on-one session too. So if you've never had an individual reading with me, it flows the exact same way. I'll read the prayer. I'll ask you if you feel comfortable, just close your eyes, let yourself relax. Feel yourself just being open, ready to receive. And then I'll tell you when to open your eyes and we'll jump in. Okay. I ask God if he will have his shield of love and truth around you permanently, so only God's love and truth will exist between you and me. I allow the masters, teachers, and loved ones of you to channel through me out of whatever realm to say whatever they wish. I ask the permission of the Lords of the Akashic Records, so I'm able to look into the records of you and remove whatever information I'm allowed. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So the guides want to start out today, revisit a little bit. Last week, we talked about the eclipse energy. And if you haven't watched that show yet, you might want to. It was a little bit intense, kind of following the eclipse energy. We talked a lot about endings and beginnings, how they occur simultaneously. There were some heavy questions last week. Absolutely. And so the tone of that session was a little heavier than normally transpires here, but that's life. That's what we're doing, and we need all the guidance we can get. Heavy times, light times, doesn't matter. So the guides just want to remind everybody that we're still being influenced by that intense energy, by that eclipse energy. A lot of people are still experiencing endings and beginnings. There is loss. There is still a lot of loss going on. And at the same time, please remember, and this is what the guides are saying, is, souls are coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. And there's just so many souls that want to be here. And there's so many souls that are ready for their next adventure. And just a reminder from the guides is they just want to remind you that a soul does not leave this planet unless it absolutely feels complete and satisfied with its life here. And it came what it needed, it did what it wanted to do. So, and remember, soul contracts are woven, into a beautiful tapestry with many different people. So sometimes when a person leaves early, it's because it was part of the contract of those left behind. And the most important thing that they hammered in last week is to really look at life, your situation, your experiences from your higher perspective, and that higher soul, that higher mind. And when you do that, you stay in a place of divine love, and you refrain from judging anything, and you allow yourself just to be a curious observer. So, without repeating last week, one of the things the guides want to say is we do get a little bit of some fresh air with that eclipse energy this week. And there's Mercury still in retrograde, so we have that going on too, which is really just about slow down and to take your time through things. And if you find yourself speeding to get things done or to rush through things, Mercury retrograde is to remind you, no, take your time, be present with what you're doing, be mindful with what you're doing. But the other thing that's happening this week, if y'all are into astrology or not, Uranus and Jupiter are lining up. And this is like a really big deal. This, some astrologers would say is rare. But it brings really incredible energy in, and it's got the energy, and this is for everybody. So the guides want to give you one word for this next week, going into next week even, and they said the word lucky. And if you wake up in the morning and remember, say, I am so lucky. Just let that be your word, your motto for the next 2 weeks. So this energy that's coming in is got what they call like lottery energy. Like if anybody's going to win the lottery, now's the time. So, if you like to play, go play, because this is the time. And it actually happens. I'm so excited on my birthday. So you bet I'm going to be playing the lottery. You would think I could pull those numbers through, but it doesn't work that way. But anyway, this energy this week is balancing out some of the intensity that we're feeling and that we've been dealing with, or maybe that we're even seeing in the world. And this energy, call it your lottery energy, call it a windfall energy, lucky energy, okay? And if you would just give yourself permission to believe, give yourself permission to receive, and wake up every day and just say, you know what, I am so lucky. And maybe it's, I am lucky to be here. I'm lucky to wake up. I am lucky I have this life. I am just tapped into lucky energy. And that's what they want to give to you this week, is that feeling. So you might, as you go about your week, see clovers. You might see horseshoes. You might see, I don't know, whatever little totems are for you for, lucky, like Lucky Charms. So I know when I do readings, sometimes clovers come through and horseshoes come through as signs of good luck. But it could be anything that it means to you. So just watch for that evidence this week as you go about your day. Okay, let me see if they have anything else. They are also telling me they're still sending blue marbles. Oh, as a matter of fact, I think I got someone sent a comment in on one of the videos that they found a blue marble too. And I forgot to find the location of that one, but I'll check. But the guides are saying they're still sending blue marbles, and they are uniting us with that. So that's really cool. Let me see what else they have here. They said that's it for now. As always, they weave a theme into the messages. They know what's coming, and yeah, we're jumping in. Okay. Okay. All right. Hi, Betsy. I was discussing our session with my oldest son. He is wanting to know if there's anything in Texas for him. Where does he belong right now, and what should he be doing with his life or his career? Okay. Okay. All right, let's see here. Let's see here. I feel like seems like he's meant to be doing some personal work there in Texas. I'm not sure what that's about, but he's got, looks like about a year or two, and then he might be moving on. For some reason, they're taking me a little further west for him. And I wouldn't say quite to California, but I'm headed over to New Mexico. I don't know what's there for him, but I would be open to looking. I mean, it still feels a little early, but it does feel like there's a Western energy kind of pulling him. uh, Also feels like there's something he needs to study or learn. And I know these are vague general answers. They're not giving me any specifics. But they just said he's got some more personal work to do there in Texas before he moves on. But there's a sense of freedom heading his way with moving a little further west. It could be Colorado. That's not, as west, but it's still west. Um, they are also saying he needs to believe in himself more, and that he doesn't have to do what he thinks he has to do. Um, so they would like for him to visit his childhood dreams of what he wanted to do and be, and tell him it's not too late to move in that direction. So, whatever that might be. They are telling me to tell you he is a lovely soul, and he needs to look at the mirror more and smile at himself and tell himself how awesome he is. Um, and he's got really unique things to do here, and he's just getting started. That's what they said. Okay, that's cool. Okay. So I have a question. I'm not going to read this one, the whole thing, but the long story is we have a grandmother. She's got lots of grandchildren. And when she was a younger grandmother, she would babysit the grandchildren. Now that she's a little bit older, hang on here. She is 71 years young, she said, and it's just a little harder for her with the little ones. And her youngest child now has a 6-month-old grandson, and an hour away wanting her to babysit. So, long story short, she said it's just too hard on her and the drive, and there's not room for her to spend the night. So she feels mean telling them that it's really hard for her, especially when she did it for all the other grandkids. So she's asking for some insight on how to resolve the situation. I love them to death, but really don't know where to turn. Okay, that's tough. So the most important thing is that you're honest, and really be honest with where you are in your life. Because if you don't, and you keep overgiving, you could really compromise your health. You could even have a car accident, because the guides want to support you in living here authentically, and being truthful. And so driving that distance, and then having to drive at night where you can't see well at night, that I know that's in your question too. There's a lot of factors there really pointing at you to say it's just, you can't do it. And there are other times, other weekends that you're just going to be available, and your children will adjust. They'll have to adjust. And you have to remember, because you're not available, they have to come up with other resources. They have to make other decisions. And remember, this is part of the soul contract. You don't know how that's going to influence them to make a decision that's even better for them than they know. And it might be they line up with someone else that helps, that does 10 times more for them than you ever could have. Not love, but love and some. Who knows? But just remember, when you serve yourself, it serves everybody else. And sometimes the guides will use you, by having a hardship, because the guides are trying to point them in another direction. And that's something you just got to remember. You may feel like you're letting them down. You may feel like it doesn't look fair, but you know what? It's where you are in life, and you can't drive at night. You know, you're 70 some years old. Caring for that child is a lot. And you know your limits, and that's really important. And what's also important is that when you make that clear for yourself and for them, they realize what having a boundary looks like. And at some point in their lives, they're going to say, gosh, remember when mom did this? I get to do that too. So remember, you're always being a role model. You can't give until the well's dry, because then you have nothing left to give. So just remember that. And you take care of yourself, and let them figure this out. And there's something in them, in there for them to get out of this, some nugget. And otherwise, it would be wide open, path, green lights and open doors, and it would be easy for you. So just trust in that. So if it's not easy, there's a reason, and you have to take a step back and not force something. If you're forcing it and pushing it, you're going to pay. And that's for everybody. When we force things and we push things, you know what? We are always going to be pushing against something. It's like trying to push a boulder up a hill. And at some point, you're going to get tired and the boulder's going to roll over you. So just remember that. If it's forced, then you got to take another path. Okay. Hopefully that was helpful to you, and we'll make it easy. Okay. All right. There's a bird nest in a bush near my carport. Last week, I found a dead baby bird in my carport. I'm not sure it was fully done because it had no feathers and its eyes were closed. Not sure if it even had developed wings. I saw no shell either. This week, near the street on the edge of my yard, was a dead adult bird. No injury. What does this mean, or does it mean anything? Thanks. Okay. Well, one thing, I'm glad you asked that question. And it's always hard to know what things mean like that. But if it catches your attention, it means something. And interestingly enough, one of the things the guides want to say is just to remind you, human souls are coming in, human souls are leaving. Same thing with animal souls. They're constantly, it's like this is a thoroughfare. There is just, there's always two-way traffic. That's a really great thing to think about. So with the animal kingdom, with the human kingdom, there's always two-way traffic. So regarding the birds tend to represent flight. They represent higher perspective. And so for you, hang on here. I'm looking to see. What's really interesting? They are telling me those birds made their transition at your place. They lost their ability to fly at their place, yet they gained their next incarnation at your place. So it's wild. You're having endings and beginnings, and an adult and a baby, all of this like in the same time, in the same yard. What the guides want you to know is there is change going on in your life. Things are coming, things are going. Even something, the little bird, the baby bird represents something that you may have started. It could be an idea that you had. It feels like it's not taking flight right now. One of the other things, and they said that's okay because there's going to be more. There's going to be more, and it's not time. They are telling me they would like for you to look at this as you're meant to stay put right now, stay where you are, and not fly off from your situation, if that makes sense. So if you're thinking about leaving somewhere, whether it's, the house you live in or the job that you have or a relationship that you have, they are saying no. It's almost like this is a sign that they took your wings of flight away temporarily, because they want you to stay where you are. And that message is for you specifically. Is it something, in the future, if that happens to us, we can look at it as that might mean the same thing for us? Sure. Yet for you, it is about staying put, not to leave a situation right now, and look at it from, they are saying, from a whole perspective, almost like the baby bird to the adult bird represents a life. And so there's something you're meant to look at, I would say, like a life cycle, like a cycle of life, the wholeness of it. I don't know how to explain that anymore, but not to leave a situation and really look at it from beginning to end, if that makes sense. So it might be something you're having to revisit too, when it's asking you to look from beginning to end. So it might be, yeah, it could be if you're thinking about going somewhere. Hang on here. They're just saying it's not time. It's not time. And they want to really impress that there's a cycle to everything. Life occurs in a cycle, and it looks like you're in a cycle right now to stay put. And that would be your message. Wow, that's so fascinating from that. Ooh, okay. Thank you for asking that. Okay. I wanted to see if my dad has anything he wants me to know or remember to guide me in this life. As you know, he was my mother, father, and best friend in life. And curious if my brother Johnny has anything to add. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Well, your dad said it was just such an honor to be able to play all of those roles for you. And it was really special for him. And not only because it was an extraordinary time in life, it was challenging, and yet you brought sunshine into his experience. And because of you, he said he has a lot of gratitude because you made him want to get up every day, and you made him want to be the best that he could be. And for that, he is forever grateful. And he never really got to tell you that, so he wants to tell you that now. Hang on here. His guidance for you right now would be for you to remember that you're a positive influence on many people, and to stay true in your heart. And because that's always what's so beautiful about you, is you live from your heart and you're very kind. And yes, some people have taken advantage of that, and you've been in some challenging situations yourself, yet you haven't lost that kindness. And he would have you stay true to that and keep living from your heart. That's sweet. Let's see if Johnny has anything here. Johnny would like for you to plant a tree for him. I don't know what kind of tree. It might be a dogwood tree. That's what he's saying. All right. Thank you for asking that. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, Betsy. I often see the numbers 757 and 57 at various times during the day. For quite some time, I related seeing the numbers as a connection to keep striving in my work, because of the connection to the key, and that's KI. of a client who's successful in their work. Anyway, I've looked up the meaning as angel numbers, and what I've read makes sense as well. I would like to know, is there something specific my guides are wanting me to connect with on a deeper level? Because I do see the series of numbers pretty much every day and often several times a day. Okay, that's fun. All right, here. Well, they're telling me that they're actually being a little playful with you. And while the number related to that person with success was an important translation at the time, it feels like that has served you. And so these numbers are still significant because it's kind of like your guide's constant message to you. And it was really neat. And I've never heard this, but they associate different meetings at different times with these numbers. But when you see them, you can rest assured that your guides are trying to get your attention. So if you see these numbers, one thing it would be important to look at, what are you doing at that moment? What are your thoughts at that moment? And almost take it as a stamp and a validation. Now, what they are saying, well, that they hear you. And at the same time, and this is really fun, they said, when you think of 757, 757, you think jumbo jets. And it's like jumbo jets. It is ready to take flight. And you're ready to take flight. Like you're the pilot and you're flying a big jumbo jet. And it's like, where do you want to go? And think about your thoughts being carried in that jet. But also think about you taking flight. Isn't that so interesting? We have the question about the birds earlier. And for you, it's about staying put. And now for you with the 757, it's like, no, take flight. I wouldn't be surprised if you start having flying dreams if you haven't already. But that's what it looks like. And 57, that's so funny. We're talking about cycles again. So 757 is that call, sign for a jumbo jet flight. 57 means it's not quite ready for takeoff. Does that make sense? And so they would have you look at it like that for now. So if you see 57, it's like, ooh, you're almost there. Like you are almost there. 757 means it's taken off. So again, be mindful of your thoughts. Whatever you're doing at that time, really be present with that, be aware. And thank you so much for asking that question. That's just wonderful. I love it, because we can look up meanings to things and they're going to resonate or not, and I love the fact that we can change the meanings to things. Like 757 might mean something entirely different for you next year. We'll see. That's really cool. And hopefully that was helpful. Thank you for asking that. Okay. Let's see. Actually, you guys, I think we are good with questions for tonight. Let me see. I've got a couple here that we have time I can look. I'm in a new relationship. I'd like to know how you feel about this. Okay, well, let's just see here. Okay. So, one thing that I'm hearing to tell you about your new relationship is to allow yourself to be open to receive. And they said, be mindful because you're a giver, and givers tend to attract takers, and you want to be mindful that you attract another giver. And so they said, before your natural habit of wanting to like do and be and share all of who you are takes over, they said let yourself receive. Just be easy about this, and just receive, and be open to the abundance and the windfall and the lucky energy of this week and next week, to give you even more evidence that this feels fresh, it feels nice, it feels easy, and it feels lovely. So if you feel a little fearful or anxious, just look at old stuff that might be getting triggered or coming up for you, just old fears. But I'm hearing really allow yourself to receive. Okay. Uh, my rescue dachshund has anxiety issues, which translates into aggression. Can my guides direct me to find the right trainer? It really creates a problem when I can't leave him with anyone. Oh, yeah, that's hard. Okay. Let me see here. Well, one thing I would try is Bach flower, the flower remedies. They make a rescue remedy, and they do make one for pets, but you can get the ones for humans too. It's fine for pets. And you take the drops, you just put a little on your fingers and rub it on the insides of their ears, and that can really help with anxiety. There's 5 flower essences blended in there to treat anxiety and aggression. They actually have some for aggression. That you might be open to trying. You could put it in their water, but rub it in their ears too, which you might find really helpful. Let me see if there's anything else. I'm hearing there's a female trainer. Let me see if I can see where. One second here. I'm just seeing if it's in the same geographic area as you. Feels like it. I'm not sure where you are, but they're telling me there's a female trainer in your area that would be really helpful. Hold on one second here. Interestingly enough, too, feels like another animal around would be helpful. I don't know if you want 2 animals, but just looks like that could also be helpful. Could that be another dog? Could it be a cat? Feels like another dog. I don't know if that's something you've considered. Hold on here. I'm not sure I can get any more specific for you there, but it does look like another dog, a female trainer in your area, and the flower remedy could really be helpful. I'll just see if they'll give me anything else on that. Not getting anything else there. So hopefully that helps and makes sense to you. The flower remedies are really fantastic. Highly recommend those. But try, there's one, I think it's called, it might be beach or agrimony, one of them. Both of them might be helpful for the aggression too. So in a local health food store will carry, if you don't find, but they have online too, Bach flower remedies, BACH. Okay. All right. Let me just see what the guides would end with tonight. Well, so the number 757, the guides are saying just because we're in the energy of lucky this week and next week, they said you might see 777. So just have a smile when that happens. But the most important thing is to know that things are always ending and beginning. Some things are meant to stay on the ground for a while. Some things are meant to take flight. And the most important thing they would have us take with us today is to be easy about it and to just trust in the flow of it, and recognize that your guides are always around you and they are always guiding in times of intensity, in times of just playfulness, but they are always there for you. And just ask them for a sign when you really need that sign. And you can ask them 1,000 times a day. They don't care. They don't get irritated or exasperated. They'll find 1,000 different ways if that's what they have to do. So believe in that. Believe in your worthiness, your ability to receive, and let this lucky energy just carry you for the next 2 weeks. And I cannot wait to check in and hear what everybody experienced. So thank you so much. Remember, I won't be here next week. I will be here the 29th of April. And I can't wait. Okay, bye.